Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the honor and the privilege of having Matt Hill, lawyer, national lawyer. I guess I have to call you a national lawyer now, Matt, because you're all over the country. Who does you do veterans? You do
VA disability, yes, sir.
Yep. You do Social Security anymore? I know you used to do a lot of Social Security.
No, we got out of that and focusing just on the VA nationwide.
Smart man. And his brother Chad, who is does a lot of his marketing, but has got a whole career in marketing, that own your own agency and all kinds of stuff. So, Matt's in my mastermind, my 8-figure mastermind. So it tells you he's doing pretty good. Or it only wouldn't be an 8-figure one. And they were at our summit a couple of weeks ago and showed me some stuff they were doing. And with AI. And I asked them if they would take time and share kind of, what different ways they've been using AI, because they've been using it a lot longer than everybody else been talking about. So welcome, guys. I'll quit talking. Welcome.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, guys.
And just to give you a little more background, we've been working in masterminds for, since 2012, and built from just kind of a local law firm up to nationwide with VA. And if you haven't done masterminds for some reason, you got through the summit and did not go by and talk to Ken about masterminds, it's the best way to build a firm.
Well, I appreciate that.
We can personally attest to that. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. My brother Chad here had his own digital marketing firm. He sold it for a good piece a while back. He was out playing a lot of golf, having a good time, and finally I started poking him and saying, hey, would you come work with us for a little bit, just kind of do something on the side to keep you off the golf course every day of the week. And he decided, since we had breakdowns where he could play a little golf and still work, and so it worked out. And so he's been working in the firm now for 3 or 4 years and always tinkering on the side. And one of the biggest projects he and his sections had is AI, and just trying to figure out how to make that a part of our firm to make us more efficient. And Chad, I'll turn it over to you on that.
Yeah, and I think, Ken, like you said, I mean, we have been playing with AI for at least 18 months, and in some ways even longer, because really Google has been incorporating AI into all of its products for quite a while, whether that's AdWords or whether that's the way that they interpret what people are searching. So AI has been something that's around, but certainly the generative AI, the sort of kicked off by ChatGPT, is a little newer. One of the things that, like Matt said, when I started working with the firm again, and I've worked around the firm my whole life. Our parents started it back in the 80s, so kind of always been around law firms, and certainly had a lot of tableside discussions or dinner table discussions about law firm marketing and all kinds of things back in the day. But so I've always been kind of working with Matt on some of our marketing for many years. And when I came in a more full-time capacity a couple years ago, we also had some other projects outside of the law firm that we were working on, and we would always test those projects with the latest, maybe more aggressive marketing tactics, but only incorporate ones that we felt like really gave us good results back into the main law firm. And about 18 months ago, our whole team, we actually did a fairly structured set of tests where we put together some hypotheses on what we would expect from AI, and we started playing around with, I think it was at the time Jarvis, which became Jasper, and we're trying to sort of use that to generate outlines and generate blog content, and really kind of shelved that project beginning of last year, because we just weren't seeing the results that we thought were interesting. But then when OpenAI started publishing their access to their APIs, and then eventually opened up ChatGPT, we retested a lot of those assumptions, and it was really kind of night and day. What we did and what we demoed at the conference, we've kind of taken that whole entity and what we're doing around AI, we've packaged that up as this firm, LawOps.ai. We're currently have a database of prompts that we think are very useful and relevant to law firms. And we started in the marketing area, and we kind of went job by job and just looked for opportunities to use AI. And at the Super Summit, I kind of gave some of the examples there. But what we found is that for content marketing around all of your blog content, we've now kind of taken our time frame. We're saving 3-4 hours per piece of content that we're publishing now, just by using some of these prompts that we developed for ChatGPT. We also are using some other AI-driven tools, especially in the video area, where we're able to take YouTube videos and take the long form video and have it automatically chopped up into shorts and reels that we can publish out. So just again, like every sort of task that was a little that our team just kind of struggled with getting done and was a hard, difficult task, we just like looked at each one of those things one by one and looked for ways to apply AI. And we're moving from there. Now we're moving over into intake. And go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say on that note, Chad, the interesting thing was we were able to reduce, our full overhead. We had probably 7 contractors that we were able to kind of just take their task and do. But the other thing we did that we were surprised about is that we were able to make our superstars happier by taking away kind of what Chad was talking about, taking away some of those more menial tasks. So he briefly mentioned taking a YouTube video and cutting it and splicing it into shorts or reels. Well, we had our video editor doing that, and it was taking him half a day to do just one video. Now it's taking him 10 minutes. And that was the bane of his existence, having to cut out all the uhs and ums and, put a video together that's really tight. Now we were able to do that, and he's able to move on to be more creative and use, frankly, the talents we hired him for. And so that's been a really neat, just kind of happening on this that we didn't think about. Is not only are they more efficient, but they're more excited to show up at work, which is, we get better work product from.
Yeah.
But you're saying, Chad, we've moved on now to other areas and substantive areas.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where until you kind of see it's kind of hard to demonstrate some of the stuff in a podcast or a video podcast even. But yeah, until you kind of get a sense of just what ChatGPT and really the whole host of AI tools can do, both for just accelerating and being a co-pilot. And that's been a bit of the debate, I think, in AI is like, are we trying to create co-pilots? That's Microsoft's kind of thesis, and that's why they're naming all of their products co-pilots, where it's all about making you more efficient, making a person more efficient, or are we talking about, trying to in some way replace people? And I think we're definitely in a great example, I think, is this, I don't know, Ken, did you see that New York Times article about the lawyer who basically was suing Avianca in an injury case where someone was hurt on an airplane and just submitted a whole brief to federal court generated completely from ChatGPT?
Yeah,
pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, but it was all false.
Exactly. Yes, it was complete hallucination, right? So, and that's I think something that people may or may clearly that attorney did not understand, right? That basically this is just a big, massive probability machine, right? That you plug in something and it's like, you start off a sentence and there's a the ChatGPT is able to sort of complete that sentence based on what is most likely to occur in the English language. And so in that particular case, and I think, and the other thing that's amazing is that, and it does it in such a convincing way, right? It never says, I'm not too certain about these cases I've quoted. It just says, here are the cases that are being quoted in this particular lawsuit. So yeah, it was a complete fabrication and just a good example, I think, in some ways of like why you have to be careful in how you apply this, and you use a good framework and a good project, basic project management sort of approach where it's like you define what are you trying to do, you have sort of a project around making that happen, and then you kind of analyze the results. So yeah, I think it's a good sort of, yeah.
Chad, to be fair, that attorney got that whole brief written with a bunch of case sites. And the attorney went back to ChatGPT and he said, "Are you sure that these cases actually exist?" And ChatGPT says, "Yes, I'm certain." And they were all fabricated.
So we learned from that you can't trust what ChatGPT says. Yeah, I think that's the big deal. I think that's what I'm telling everybody. I don't see it as replacing. I just see it as cutting, quadrupling 10 times, 100 times more productivity out of a person. You
Yeah.
know, like cutting your staff from 11 to 5 because they can do twice as much work. You know what I'm saying? But you still got to you got to fact check everything because they're having a hearing June 8th on that. The judge still, he hears it, but you know, there's probably going to be sanctions for that because he didn't do I mean, and here's the deal. I wouldn't go into a courtroom with the cases unless I'd read the damn cases before I got there anyway. So it's really, you know, he got, you know, I don't feel too sorry for him really because I never went into a courtroom where I cited cases in a brief that I had not have a copy of the damn case sitting there highlighted in yellow in case the judge asked me something about the case. I was able to, you know what I'm saying? It just he was shooting from the hip and he got bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that will be used probably as like the case for being, you know, not using AI, right? But I think that it's just sort of an example of using AI the wrong way, where, as Matt said, it's like you don't, if you're going to have it generate a brief, then don't certainly ask ChatGPT or any other similar product, Bard, whatever you're using. Are you sure you're not lying to me? Because it's going to say, you know, no, you need to go research that information. I also think it's early because I do think what's going to happen there is that there will be other models that will come out that are more fine-tuned for legal research, right? So I'm fairly certain that LexisNexis is working on something or has some early prototype out. And of course, there's a company, Harvey, that's been funded by OpenAI and Andreessen Horowitz, which is a big VC firm. So, you know, I think some of these new models, I think the next generation, next evolution will be that, are you using the big general model or are you using some sort of more specific model, which again, makes this all a little bit more complicated than just simply going to ChatGPT, paying your $20 and away you go. I think you can get a lot of value out of that right now, but I think as we move into actually making it a more, you know, incorporating it into every part of our operation, you're going to need to be thinking about, what model do I use? Do I use the big, massive general model that supposedly passes the bar exam, but clearly would have failed that test we just talked about? Or do I use, you know, the model that's been created by somebody who limits the hallucinations the model's capable of doing, because it says you're only allowed to you know, use data from the model, from one of the large language models.
And one kind of example of that is we've recently replaced our online chat function from a human to AI. And what we did is we limited the AI to our website. We probably have over 1,000 blog posts that we've personally written, we know are accurate. And so now when somebody writes in and asks a question, hey, do I qualify for this or do I qualify for that? Our AI is pulling from known resources on our website and answering the questions. We've been going through, and it's remarkable how well it's done. And when there's an error, what we found the error is ours, not its, in that the blog post is outdated. I think just this weekend we had over 200 chats come in where people were asking, you know, all kinds of questions about VA law. We weren't there, but they were getting information. But that's a closed universe. It's not just pulling from anywhere out on the web, and that seems to have been pretty effective so far.
So I got a question. So how did you create your own little kingdom of AI? How do you limit what AI? I mean, you know, do you have to create it or do you go out and buy some? I know they're making all these different applications or whatever. I mean, I see there's new ones you know, you see them, they're being incorporated in like phone systems. I was doing a podcast last week, and the guy that works for CallRail, they've got AI in their call recording now that you can give it parameters and it'll tell you whether it was a good call or bad call, so that you can pull out the bad calls and listen to them instead of listening to every call your intake people do. So, I mean, so my question is, I guess, did you something that you hired somebody from overseas to do, or some programmers, or did you just buy something off the shelf to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So, I mean, there's sort of the conceptual thing that's happening, and then there's the tool we use. But conceptually, what's happening is it's all about giving the model a more context to base its answer on. So what's happening is there's some open source libraries out there that allow you to take a whole bunch of information your whole website. It's again, it's a little techy, but you vectorize it. So you basically put that into a vector database. And then what you do is you search your question. That's able to find the pieces on your website that are most semantically relevant to that question. And then with all of that, you feed it into the language model and you say, using this information that we just sourced from our website, answer this question. So you're sort of directing the large language model to use more context. So there's kind of like three different, again, it's very techy. And this is why I think as people get into this, they're going to have to like, figure out what are they trying to do, and can they just use the general model, the large, the chat GPT, or do they need to do some of this more advanced stuff? But there's the big model, so you can either build a model or use a model. There's what they call embeddings, which are essentially finding relevant documents or information that get fed into either your own model or the big model. And then there's fine tuning, which you can use to fine tune the answers. So that's what we're doing. I think we're using, I'm just gonna look at, I got a list of our tools. I think we're using DocsBot as the actual tool. Yeah, DocsBot.ai. And what they've done, like a lot of these guys, it's kind of interesting. What they've actually built under the covers is primarily open source technology. What they've done is just put a UI on top of it. So they're very affordable, like $100 a month or something. And it's a great tool. There's probably 11 other ones out there that do the exact same thing. And I'm guessing that over time, more and more things will start to incorporate this technology. But at its basic level, that's kind of how that works.
Wow. That's really wild.
Yeah.
It's and that's where we're hearing a lot about it, is in the marketing, like the blogs and doing the SEO. And I mean, have you figured out a way to use AI to get backlinks?
We're using AI to help us write more personalized email pitches for backlinks. So what we can do is, it's a little bit like, I think it's something similar to what Justin Lovely was sort of talking about, where, you can kind of figure out who are you writing the pitch to, and you can kind of set up a post where he was talking about using that for trying to close bigger cases. Same idea for links, right? If we know what this website's about and we can feed in what our website's about, we can write a more personalized pitch. That's the main thing. I mean, I'd say we're also using machine learning, which is in a bunch of tools that will identify links that we most likely should target. That's a little different kind of technology, because I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that gets bucketed in as AI, but then there's what ChatGPT does and Midjourney and those tools. That's more generative AI. So it's this creation of content and images. But then there's a whole host of other things where it's just like big data, machine learning stuff that's like trying to filter out, is this website the next best link for you to go after? So we do use some of those tools.
Yeah. but then, so, oh man, y'all really have gone in deep. So,
yeah.
So what other things have you used it for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the next step for us is starting to look at like how we can use it in the actual, the operation of the law firm. And when we look at all of the, our workflow might be a little different than your typical PI firm, but it's not, terribly different. We have intake. We need to basically gather information, evidence, medical records. We need to then generate a brief in our case, which would be similar to kind of some sort of demand letter and a PI lawyer setup. So we're looking at those two areas as our next sort of mountain, the hill to climb, mountain to conquer, however you want to say it. So with the medical record indexing element, what we're using is something pretty similar to what I just talked about, where we will take all your information, and we deal with cases where we have thousands of pages of medical records or of just history on a particular claim. And what we've prototyped, that Matt was saying earlier, is we prototyped taking all that information and then prompting the database or the language model to summarize that entire series of documents. So maybe 200, 300, 400 documents. It can then output those into summaries in whatever format we want. And that's the next step, is we're working on that, and that will likely be its own product that we hope to be able to, to roll out beyond just using it at our firm. But that's the next kind of area for us to conquer, and we hope to have that done in 4 months or so as at least an early prototype. And then from there, we want to get into generating work product and stuff that we can run with from there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I've heard lawyers. I've had some lawyers talk about using it to help them in trying to carve a doctor's depot. You know, try to how to make something simple down something that's complicated for a jury. What are the questions they'd ask to make it to where a fourth grader could understand what I'm trying to convey with this doctor or this whatever expert. So I think you'll see it used there too. Oh, it's already used. So tell me more. This is wild because you know the biggest problem. I see two big logger jams in the process of running a PI case. And one is getting the records in and getting the demand out. That whole process, once somebody get released, it's always getting the records in and then getting them summarized and then getting the demand done. And that seems to be where the biggest logger jam is for law firm. I talk to lawyers all the time, and I do a lot of consulting, and that's the big deal. Yeah. And of course, then another one is once you get the money in, getting the money dispersed because of all the liens and everything, which is a whole nother problem. Yeah. But well, you guys are going to be, for those that don't know it, we announced it at the PILMA Summit a couple of weeks ago. We're doing an AI, not a conference, an AI workshop, and we're limiting it to 25 law firms because it's not going to be like PILMA was last week, where we're just talking about it and people are showing what. It's actually going to be a hands-on, bring a computer. They're going to be homework before you get there, and we'll actually show you how to. I'm not, because I'm not that good at it, but you know, we've got people like Chad and different people. We got people coming in with PhDs in damn AI, and Christy Hodges is just one of the best teachers I've ever seen, and she's I call her my little geek. She loves all this technology stuff. So that's going to be August. I think it's the 10th, 11th in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you guys are going to be there. And I think we've got, last count I had, I think we sold like 17 at the summit. So we've got 8 seats left. As we do this, we might not have any. If it's a big success, we'll probably do another one, you know?
Yeah.
But I think people, lawyers, everybody needs to quit being scared of this. Listen, it can be misused. Yeah. But the deal is, let's figure out how we can use it to where we can give a better experience for the clients, where you can be more efficient, because I don't know what it is with veterans. I've heard it's pretty labor intensive. Yeah. And I know that the PI people, you know, after COVID, they're just having a hard time finding people to work. Yeah. You know, or if they do, they won't twice what they were paying somebody 3 years ago. You know, instead of getting a paralegal for $45, $50, now they're wanting $90,000 to $100,000 in some of the cities like New York. I mean, that's crazy to me. I don't care. I mean, so yeah. I think between that and offshore, I think if you combine those two, you're going to see the lawyers that take advantage of it's going to see a big decrease in their overhead. An increase in their efficiencies of getting things done faster, which is going to make them better client service. I mean, I just think it can do so much good. I don't know how y'all look at it, but I just think there's a lot of good things it can do, not just for the lawyer, but for the clients. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ken, and one of the things I'm excited about with the workshop you're putting together is people are going to learn tools. You might learn how to do a specific program, but the more important thing is to understand the sandbox they're playing in. You don't want to be that attorney from New York who gets outside the sandbox. But once you understand the sandbox you're playing in, it's your kingdom. Like we just keep on making up new ways to use this just by kind of being creative with each other and saying, hey, let's try this on our website, or hey, let's try that. There's just so many opportunities out there. And once you understand the parameters that you want to be inside of, it's great. And the thing about the workshop that I'm so excited about is we're going to have good minds there, both the people presenting and the people there listening and participating. And so we're excited to hear what other people are looking to do, what other challenges there are, and then we can share ours. Frankly, it sounds a lot like a mastermind, and that you go in and you say, hey, here are my problems. but then you walk out and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think I could do this with my practice. And so I think that's going to be really neat and really open up people's minds to see, as you said, just kind of how this can affect the practice and make it way more effective.
Yeah, I really do. I'm and I'm the least, I mean, I don't even know how to type, but I'm looking forward to it because I know what it can do. I mean, I've looked at it. I mean, I played with it and it's amazing, and I showed it to my wife, and, she's a great writer, very, very brilliant person, Wake Forest Law Review, all that. But she was kind of, but she's starting to see, of course, she still says it can't write like I can write. I said, no, but it can do all the research and make your job so much easier. It can get you an outline and then you can write it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I think, and that's the right balance. It's like, you got to get that balance of what it can do and what you still need a person to be focused on. So,
yeah. So I even hear that this stuff can like, do like coding and stuff for your website, like SEO. I mean, what do you call it stuff when you do the links and all this stuff? I mean, the coding.
Yeah, HTML and CSS. Yeah, actually, on our website, we there's another tool we use. There's so many of these tools. I have to like keep a little cheat sheet to remember which one it was, but I think it's like codewp.com or .ai. I don't have it up right now, but we wanted a little call to action above. We wanted to have something that during business hours would pop up saying, hey, don't fill out the form, call us at this number. And so we normally would have to send it to our developer. We actually just went to this tool. I think it's, again, codewp.ai.com. I can't remember which one it is, but and we just wrote in there like, can you write some CSS that will automatically look at the time clock and will pop up and say, call this number during business hours. And it essentially wrote a plugin for WordPress that we then just put it on our website, and that worked. And we would have to hire a developer to do that, and our marketing guy just did that in an hour or two. So pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still got a long ways to go with the images, but that's going to get there too.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've asked you everything I want to ask you, I think, but I don't know what I don't know. So tell me more.
I mean, I think we covered a good amount. I'm sure people out there, their heads are hurting because it's like a lot of, you can go down the rabbit hole pretty quickly on AI. And I think a lot of what's out there now is only going to get easier to use. I think there's going to be a lot of, like I said, I think the next wave is going to be that everyone talks OpenAI, but I think there's going to be a lot of these other models that open up that are more specific to what you're trying to do. And I'm sure there'll be like places you can go to test out different models for different tasks. So I think there's going to be a lot more obviously to come. We're still early days on this. I think, I remember I started my SEO agency in 2008 thinking like we were like the last SEO agency to start because it had already been around since the Lycos and every, late 90s, right? And 10 years after starting that, I was like, people were still starting SEO agencies left and right and doing just fine. So I'm pretty sure that, it feels like people are late to the game already in some ways because a lot's already happening, but we're definitely early days. And this is going to be the next big, in my opinion, the next big massive trend that's really going to define business for the next, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. This is a big one. So people should get in early, start to learn, don't feel overwhelmed, get snack size things. We've got a great newsletter that we're putting out at LawOps.ai. Go subscribe to that. We're kind of trying to like look at the whole AI space through the lens of a law firm and picking things that make sense and don't make sense. So I guess, if I had to make a shameless plug, I'd say go sign up for our newsletter because we're putting together some good content on that could help a lot of people out.
Good. I'll do that. Yeah. And so when you get this thing, you say you're gonna have it ready in 4 months. Are you going to like test it on some law firms, or are you just going to test it on a law firm or whatever? Yeah,
and that product is Ken, you're teeing me up here, man. I'm gonna take these swings here. That product that was called Case Scribe, and that's at casescribe.ai. And there's a demo there, and also you can sign up if you're interested. and being a beta tester. Again, we're still a little ways off on that, but you can drop your name on that and get in the loop on that as well. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, our thought on that would be that we're gonna be the guinea pigs. Our law firm is gonna be the guinea pig to start, but we would love to have some early, what I would call some people who are believers in what we're trying to do, to get in the mix now, so that we can, it's gonna have to be someone who's likes to tinker with things that are kind of a little rough, but it certainly would be great to have some people who wanted to get an early look at what we're building and to be a part of it, because we would love to build something. I mean, our plan is to build something that's very useful for our law firm, but we'd love to sort of include, because we feel like we're part of the PILMA family. We definitely would love it to be something that's useful beyond just what we're doing with VA law.
Yeah, thank you. So if people want to get up with you, I guess they can. You got an email, or just go to Kscribe, or go to
we've got a lot of URLs, but yeah, go to LawOps.ai, and my email is chad@LawOps.ai, and then sign up if you're interested to watch our demo, or sign up if you're interested at Kscribe.ai as well. So that's the best place to find us.
This is amazing, man. You guys are on to something big. I think I really do.
Great.
I hope you know that. I guess you do.
Well, it's like, Ken, one of the things you taught me was always be tinkering, always be looking at what's coming down the pike. Don't be afraid of it. And this is the next big thing.
It is. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you got to test stuff, see what works. Some of it ain't, some of it will. Like you said, you tried that one thing, it didn't work, then you tried it again.
Yeah.
Then it works. Don't give up. Well, listen, thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you in August in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Artificial Intelligence Lawyers Workshop in Charlotte. If anybody's interested, you can go to pilma.org and look it up, or just info@pilma.org, and we'll have, if we got any seats left, we'll surely let you grab one of them. All right, guys, until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.